The broad-tailed parrots are well represented on the farm. Here in Tarden, the Port Lincoln parrots are often referred to as 28s, but 28 parrots are not here. They look and sound very different. The Port Lincoln parrot feeds on the ground like these two parrots among the branches of the mallee trees. After the first rains in May, the breeding season starts for most of the wildlife on the farm, including the Port Lincoln parrots. The birds inspect every hole or hollow in the branches of both living and dead York gums. Here you can see a pair feeding each other before the breeding starts. It's part of the bonding between most of the parrots. While we look at the pair, it's an opportunity to explain the difference between the Port Lincoln parrot and the 28. The 28 parrot has a red frontal band and the throat and breast is dark green. The belly is also green. As you can see in the Port Lincoln parrots, this is not the case. The call of the Port Lincoln parrot is a rapid single note which is repeated a number of times. Their pattern of feeding is similar to that of many parrots and also of other birds on the dry land. The food of these parrots consists mainly of grass seeds and other ground plants like the introduced paddy melon and the seeds of capeweed, both of which are common on the farm. The seeds and blossom of the mallee gum is also on the menu. While we're looking at the pair of Port Lincoln parrots inspecting potential nesting sites, a little about the breeding habits of the birds. Should the nest site be decided, the birds may raise 2 broods in one season, and the clutch may vary from 4 to 6 eggs. The chicks hatch after about 20 days of incubation by the mother. The competition between the parrots for nest sites is fierce. Many years ago I watched the nesting site of a pair of Port Lincoln parrots for a number of weeks. There were 2 eggs on the bare soil inside a dead York gum. Clearly there were no more eggs to come. After a number of weeks I looked in the nest site again and found a pair of galahs had taken over the site by putting leaves on top of the eggs and then putting their eggs on top of the leaves. During the incubation by the mother, the father has not been entirely idle as he sits in front of the nest entrance or in a nearby tree to warn the nesting female of any approaching danger. In the morning you can see some of the parrots cleaning themselves at the dam. The local people have become accustomed to the beauty of the parrot and take it very much for granted. The mulga parrots are also common on the farm. Here you see the brightly coloured male parrot perched in the mallee tree. The female mulga parrot is sitting on a dead branch, scanning the surroundings. Seen up close, it's one of the most brilliant members of the family, at least where the male is concerned. The female is very much duller in feathering, as you can see when the two are together. Grazing sheep have removed much of the mulga parrot's food supply, since many seeds which fall to the ground are picked up by stock. The extra watering troughs provided by the farmers have helped the spread of these birds into areas where they could not normally have penetrated because of the lack of surface water. As with most other members of the parrot group, its food consists of many kinds of plant material: seeds, fruits, berries and green leaves. Mulga seeds are an important part of their diet, and also the green, unripe pods of various acacias. These quiet, unobtrusive birds lack the bustling vigour characteristic of many parrots. They do not form flocks, but pairs or family parties. The mulga parrot earned its name because it is home in the vast areas of mulga country. Region parrots belong to the group of long-tailed parrots. On the farm, the parrots are not very common. Direct sunlight gives the yellow plumage of the male parrot an almost radiant golden tone. They generally keep in pairs or small groups. Male and female are rather similar, though the male appears to be more yellow and the female more green in general coloration. Their plumage has a smoky look, particularly on the underparts, which has led to the common name of smoker here in Western Australia. The regent parrots are more of a wanderer than the other common parrots. Like this male, regent parrots spend most of the day on the ground searching for grass seeds or in the branches of a eucalypt or acacia, feeding on the seeds and blossoms. At very close quarters, its red beak helps to distinguish it easily. This is the female. The cockatiels, or wiro, also belong to the long-tailed parrots. Here a flock have a quick drink at the dam before settling in the nearby tree. Cockatiels are generally seen in pairs or small flocks searching for grass seeds on the ground. The cockatiels are nomadic, but here in Tarden they are seen every year. In the trees you see the males with bright ear cover orange patch. Only one female is among them. Normally, they habitually fly to large dead trees where they perch lengthwise along stout limbs, their grey colour providing perfect camouflage. Cockatiels feed on the seed of grasses, herbaceous plants, shrubs and trees. They are found on the acacia seeds. They are fond of the acacia seeds that are common here. In The Bush is Alive, we mentioned Hidden Valley and looked at its rim. We will now go down into the valley and explore its floor. The valley was created by the wind and rain wearing away the soil over a long time. It is still in pristine condition. There are stories about Hidden Valley mainly spun by people that do not know much about the valley and the surrounding area. This area has no surface water. One of the indications is that the zebra finch does not nest here. It's too far from the nearest water trough. It can be very difficult finding the valley, especially in the past by Aboriginal people. There are a number of caves here used by kangaroos and other small animals and reptiles, mainly as shelter in bad weather. The caves are mostly very shallow and far too small for people to camp in. Here it is a harsh environment, and only animals that can travel to and from water at some distance can use this place effectively. But in June until August, it is still a magical place to observe the wildlife that Mother Nature presents. The cuckoo shrikes are a family of birds little known to the average Australian. The black-faced cuckoo shrike is a regular breeder on the farm. The cuckoo shrike's name is a complete misnomer for this family, as they are neither cuckoo nor shrike and are not closely related to either. Many members resemble the cuckoos, since the main plumage is grey and there are often conspicuous stripes, but there is no pattern of laying eggs in other birds' nests. Shrikes are flesh-eating birds, not found in Australia. Male and female share the task of building the nest, which they invariably place on the horizontal fork near the end of a branch. The branch is in a position hard for predators to reach and well shaded from above. The black-faced cuckoo shrike makes a very small nest compared to the size of the bird. Saucer-shaped, it is made of bark, twigs and spider webbing. This nest fell from the tree. A bit farther away another nest was being built. With sheep on the farm, the black-faced cuckoo shrike uses wool too as nesting material with the traditional bark, twigs and spider webbing. Both sexes incubate the eggs and feed the young. Black-faced cuckoo shrikes are primarily insect eaters, but they also eat berries and other fruit in the bush. Since many smaller birds chase them away, it seems that on occasion they take nestlings. They feed in the foliage of trees and shrubs, or take prey from the ground after spotting it from a vantage point. Black-faced cuckoo shrikes also catch insects in flight. They fiercely defend the nest, diving steeply and snapping their bills at intruders, as happened when I was filming this footage. The nest is so small that when the nestlings are feathered, they sit on rather than in it. You can see with the adults coming into the nest there is not much room. During windy periods, it's not uncommon to find nestlings unable to fly, blown out on the ground. These two young nestlings are almost ready to fly. The black-faced cuckoo shrike probably retains its juvenile plumage, characterised by a less black face than that of the adult for the first year, though the exact age at which the adult plumage appears remains unknown. Considerable variation occurs in the amount of black on the throat of the breeding birds. We have 8 species of this family in Australia. 5 are called cuckoo shrikes and the other 3 called thrillers. On the farm, sometimes you can see the ground cuckoo shrike. The white-winged trillers belong to the same family as the black-faced cuckoo shrike. Here you see the male sitting on the branch. It's one of the migratory birds on the farm. The male has a neat, attractive black and white plumage. It's sometimes known as a caterpillar eater. The male triller spends a lot of its time singing loudly during the nesting time. The song is most pleasant and adds a great deal to the sounds in the bush. The male white-winged triller doing the mating dance on a branch of a tree. The nest is very small, and the use of spider webbing for binding makes its grey colour hard to see. Males do most of the nest building and the incubation of the eggs. The pallid cuckoo is the only all-grey cuckoo in Australia. Pallid cuckoos arrive on the farm from May until early June. Because of its habit of calling from high on a treetop, has become well known to casual observers. The breeding pattern is the same for all cuckoos. A number of host species are used by the pallid cuckoo, such as the yellow-throated miners, singing honey-eaters, broad-tailed and yellow-rumped thornbills. When the egg of the cuckoo hatches in the host nest, it ejects the other eggs and is able to take all the food brought in by the foster parents. There are a number of different cuckoos coming during the breeding season. The fan-tailed cuckoo, black-eared cuckoo, and Horsfield's bronze cuckoo. Here at the back of Hidden Valley, Mother Nature designed over a very long time her own garden. It displays many different everlastings and wildflowers. It employs no one and does not ask any garden designers for help. It's self-sustaining and it has no interference by people. I surely hope it stays this way so other generations can see that Mother Nature is the best designer. Pink everlastings carpet large tracts of the land. Granite outcrops are like an island of rock from the surrounding sea of scrub. On the farm, the area is underlain by fine-grained hornblende granite, exposed in a number of areas. The breakdown of the rock into tiny soil particles has occurred over millions of years, so that the crevices and hollows have become filled with soil. Around the base of the outcrops, soil aprons have been built up from the breakdown of the rocks into a brown, gritty loam. Boulders are nearly always well-rounded. The angular corners of rocks exposed to the hot sun and cold night air soon shear off to produce rounded boulders. This area is dominated by the pincushions. After the first rains in May, they absorb moisture and the leaves become green and relatively soft and pliable. In the dry season, the plant goes dormant and its leaves become red, dry and very brittle. Guinea fowl are one of the first flowers to appear in the bush after the first rains. There are a number of species growing on the farm. The flowers stand out from the background of the bush. The Rose Darwinia, or Mullowa rose, are common among the boulders. This is a much-branched shrub at 70 centimetres. Lemon-scented sun orchids remain closed by night and during cloudy weather. They are seen at their best on bright sunny days when there is little wind. The flowers open wide, producing a spectacular display of colours. They are strongly lemon-scented flowers. This small flowered orchid is difficult to find in shallow soil pockets on granite outcrops. It's called the little laughing leek orchid due to its hollow leaf-like leaf. Painted rufous greenwood growing singularly like this one or in a small clumps has a long growing period. Ground orchids are primarily plants of the temperate zone. Orchid seeds are extremely light and can easily be carried by the wind for hundreds of kilometres. The cowslip orchid is well known and is often found growing in colonies. While one group may contain flowers with prominent red markings, those found in the adjoining groups may be almost entirely yellow. Crinkly-leaved bunny orchids are pollinated by the native bee. It appears that this insect is attracted to droplets of nectar found at the base of the column. It's one of the few in Western Australia to offer food as a reward to pollinators. It's common among the granite outcrops on the farm, but not in big numbers. There are a number of spider orchid species growing in this area of the bush. Spider orchids can be divided into three groups. The best known are those with long petals and sepals, from which the common name spider orchid is derived. Spider orchids usually grow at the base of trees or under shrubs and are sometimes barely visible. Members of the greenhood genus, like the hairy-stemmed snail orchid, are characterised by the fusion of one sepal and the petals into a hood, which conceals the pollen-bearing column in the centre of the flower. The orchid can be seen throughout the farm. The perennial herb native cornflower, as it is known here, occurs throughout the property, but has in recent years become scarce owing to its destruction by grazing animals. Among the bush, the full breeding plumage of the male splendid wren is the most beautiful of the blue wrens. Here against the background of wildflowers, it's an unforgettable sight. The splendid wren maintains its territory all year round. The female of the splendid wren does all the incubating. It feeds on a wide variety of insects which it catches as it forages through and over small shrubs. Skinks are the largest family of Australian lizards, encompassing species with an enormous variety of body forms, sizes and habitats. Most are diurnal. This genus of skinks is almost confined to Australia. It's common on the farm. A widely distributed genus of small, active diurnal lizard. Usually arboreal, a subspecies is not common in the bush. Most of the people here have never seen this lizard. These small terrestrial diurnal skinks live in the drier parts of southern WA. I have seen the skinks a number of times at different places on the farm. Due to their diversity of form, habitat and colour, classification of the smaller skinks is very patchy. The task is far from complete. Most skinks are sun lovers, coming out during the early morning to warm their bodies in the sun's first rays. At the end of the day, as the sun shows its last rays, we have a glimpse of the malleefowl walking from the paddock to the bush. This bird did not benefit from the presence of people. In the past, malleefowl were common to the area, but with the clearing of the land, the deterioration of the bush and the introduction of foxes, the malleefowl is in decline. The bird still breeds here, but not in the numbers it was before. We hope you have found it interesting looking at the wildlife on St. Joseph's Farm.